On your mark, get set, go!
I don't think it's a bold statement to say that the 1990s was a pristine time for children's programming.
Where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
But there's one program from this era that I don't think gets nearly enough recognition.
It's unbelievable. Who puts magic in the air? And spreads the laughter everywhere.
Anybody remember the 1993 show Xuxa? Okay, let's break this show down. Every episode started with kids chanting the name Xuxa. Xuxa would emerge singing her own theme song.
Are you ready to begin? Ready to play or to win?
Her outfits ranged from fashion forward to sometimes a bit questionable for a kids show. After her song, she'd greet everyone and let us know what's happening on today's episode. It was at this point you would realize that English was not Xuxa's native language, and she was still having trouble getting the hang of it.
Robert Armstrong, just a moment ago. Robert Armstrong Nelson, the butterfly. You know, your language is so difficult. Come on, give him a break.
Next, some of the kids in the audience would play a game resulting in the kids getting covered in slime. Or as Xuxa calls it, gloop.
Time for another gloop game!
After gloop time is Xuxa's guest, which could be anything from juggling acts, to animals, to celebrity guests like the Olsen twins, Raven Simone, or Cheech Marin.
My name is Cheech and I am a school bus driver. A yellow school bus driver's who I am.
Xuxa would then sing a song for the kids. Then we'd get Ask Xuxa, which was usually a segue to an educational video. After that, there would be another game, followed by another bop from Xuxa.
Tuesday, 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 the good thing that you see, look at me.
Xuxa would then offer everyone some sort of life advice.
Is there something at home that you are not sure you shouldn't play with? You probably shouldn't. Ask your parents first. Some objects can be dangerous, okay?
As the episode would wrap up, Xuxa would apply a fresh layer of lipstick and then select a kid in the audience to give a kiss to. It's fair to say the show was a bit all over the place, and it never really caught on with American audiences. But this program stuck with me, and I always wondered, why was this show made? Who was Xuxa? And whatever happened to her? So I went on the World Wide Web to do some research. What I found surprised me. In her home country of Brazil, Xuxa is one of the most successful entertainers to date. Her children's show, Show de Xuxa, lasted from 1986 to 1992, spanning 2,000 episodes. And if you thought wearing skin-tight leather was a bit questionable for a kid's show, let's just say the standards were a little different in Brazil. Since the mid-80s, Xuxa has been a dominant figure on Brazilian television, and her status has landed her some very big guests. And you know those little bops she would sing in every episode? Well, it's crazy to think that probably unbeknownst to most of these kids, they were getting an up-close performance from one of Brazil's most famous singers. Over the course of her career, Xuxa has released over 30 albums, including one that was entered into the Guinness Book of World Records for best-selling children's album. Xuxa has also conquered the silver screen, starring in over 10 films. Her 1990 film Lua de Cristal was Brazil's most successful domestic film, and it held on to that title for 15 years. But if there's one film of hers that I think my fellow Americans would appreciate, it's the 1988 film Super Xuxa contra o Baixo Astral. The visuals of the film are so over the top and ultimately feels like a love letter to 80s kids movies. Seriously, you'll see scenes that resemble anything from Labyrinth to even Captain EO. If you're looking for a plot, basically Xuxa is somebody that goes around the city spreading joy, which infuriates this creature that lives under the city because he feeds off of negative energy. He has his goons steal her dog, which causes her to have to go to the underground to retrieve her dog. And then, a bunch of weird stuff happens. If you're planning on giving this movie a watch, try your best to ignore the product placement because it's everywhere. Also, if you're going to watch it with English subtitles, well, hang in there, it's a bit of a bumpy ride.
E quem é você pra sair por aí amassando seres inocentes?
Piada, você demorou muito.
Será que eles gostaram de seus sapatos novos? Eu adorei pintar.
But in the end, it's a really fun and bizarre movie. Anyways, I digress. There are several songs in the film, most notably the song Arco-Íris. This song is one of her biggest hits, and it's actually one of the songs that was translated into English for her show in the United States. I've tried to pinpoint exactly why her show in the United States did not take. This wasn't Xuxa's first venture outside of Brazil. While doing her Brazilian show, she was also doing a very successful Spanish version that was shown all over Latin America. On top of that, she also had a successful show in the European country of Spain. But her attempt to break into the United States was not successful, and that's too bad. It was a really fun and entertaining show. Plus, Xuxa always seemed game for pretty much anything. So why did this show not work in the United States? Was it because the concept was just too bizarre for American audiences to get? I mean, the show was all over the place, but I think kids thrive on bizarre. And bizarre imports for children do have a high success rate, especially back in the 90s. Was her overt sexuality just too much for an American audience? When you watch her show in Brazil, her sexuality is undeniable. But in her US show, except for an outfit here and there, it really wasn't that bad. It's true that the kids programming in the United States had never seen anyone quite like Xuxa before. And to make matters worse, before she was Brazil's Queen of the Children, she was no stranger to posing nude. From what I can tell, this was common knowledge in Brazil and overall accepted. But the United States didn't seem to have the same mindset. And what about her issues with the English language?
You don't have to throw away glass bottles and jars. They can be used over and over again.
First of all, learning another language is not easy. Listening to me try to speak Portuguese is proof of that. But her co-hosts, Jam and Jelly, helped her out.
Dear Xuxa, what is manatee from Andrew?
So it's not like there was a lot of communication gaps. Also, it's not like her struggle with the language was something we weren't supposed to notice. She acknowledged it throughout the whole series.
I have the accent, my big accent, and sometimes the people don't understand me. It's a big problem.
Okay. We used to have the same problem.
She even sang a song about it.
Pronunciation, communication, something to strive for in all your conversations. I'm trying my best for proper English, tripping over vowels and consonants.
Personally, I think the show failed for all those reasons. If the show had one of those issues, it could most likely have eventually been conquered, but combined, they caused the perfect storm, resulting in the show being inconsumable for an American audience. Xuxa's stint in the United States did not affect her reign in Brazil. Back in Brazil, she had another very successful kids show, and was also able to hold on to her older fans that were outgrowing the formula by having a separate segment dedicated to more grown-up topics. Eventually in the late 90s, she released a separate show specifically for a teenage audience. And just like her other shows in Brazil, there are moments in this show that make me go, what? Xuxa also continued her reign as the Queen of the Children with more successful albums, movies, and even had her own theme park for a while. She is still a common sight on Brazilian television today. Occasionally she'll even perform a concert so that her fan base can relive the songs that they all grew up with. What started as a simple question sent me down a rabbit hole, and ultimately, I ended up becoming an unironic Xuxa superfan. I actually had the privilege of seeing Xuxa in real life a few years back. I've heard that she's delightful to fans that approach her, but I made the choice not to disturb her. But I did get this moment on video and took a screenshot of it, which hangs proudly on my wall with my Xuxa memorabilia. I think if Xuxa was given the time to settle, her show could have worked in the United States, and she would have been a pivotal part of our childhoods. But ultimately, that's not what happened. I recently watched a concert Xuxa did just a few years back, and when I saw the love and admiration Brazilians have for Xuxa, and the clear impact she's had on their lives, frankly, the way I see it, Xuxa not working out in the United States was our loss. If you liked this and want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell, and as always, until next time. If you liked this video and want to see more, check out this video of mine.